Welcome to Sleepover Cinema, where we analyze the films that created the collective unconscious of those who checked 5 different targets for the Chromatica Oreos. I'm Hannah Leach.
And I'm Audrey Leach. We are the sister filmmaking duo also known as Two Pink Pictures, and we haven't stopped thinking about these movies since we first saw them.
We're going to explore the good, the bad, and the nonsensical of the movies that first inspired our love for film, in an attempt to answer the question, are these movies actually good? And at the end of the day, do we really care if they are?
Today we are talking about the much anticipated, much asked for 2000s Bring It On.
We're the best. We have fun, we work hard, and we win national championships.
We have a problem.
About what?
You ripped off those cheers.
We've had the best squad around for years, but no one's been able to see what we can do.
We're in trouble.
But you better believe all that's gonna change this year.
I swear I had no idea.
Do you think a white girl came up with those moves?
This isn't about cheating. This is about winning.
Can we just beat these Buffies down so I can go home?
We might have to have a rumble.
I'll take out Famous Losers for $200.
Shut up, moron!
You wanna make it right? Then when you go to nationals, bring it. That way, when we beat you, we'll know it's because we're better.
I'll bring it. Don't worry.
Come on, let's go get it on.
We need a new routine, something amazing and fresh.
We've been saying we're the best. Now it's time to put up or shut up.
Let's do this.
Maybe we should join the squad.
This is a very special episode today because we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 people in the second half speaking on their experience with Bring It On. So, they're all really funny, interesting, lovely people, and we will get to that. So because we are anticipating all of that, we're just going to get right into the facts right now. We are very excited to be talking about Bring It On today.
They are all friends of ours personally from childhood or of the show that we've met along the way. But we're very excited to get some new voices into the podcast.
Considering that we have so many guests today, we are just going to get swiftly into the facts. So, Bring It On was released on August 25th, 2000 in theaters and was directed by Peyton Reed, who is best known for Ant-Man and The Breakup, which is that one with Justin Timberlake in it, I think, and Jennifer Aniston, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole, subgenre of that movie, so it could be any of those, but yeah.
Yes, I think that's it, though. And then we have Mandalorian. He's directed a few episodes of The Mandalorian, a few of New Girl, and he directed a lot of the Upright Citizens Brigade TV show, which I didn't know existed, and literally brought a chill. It shot a chill down my spine to even think of that existing. And I didn't know there was a Weird Al TV show, but this man was involved in the Weird Al TV show, so good for him. This movie was produced by Mark Abraham and Thomas A. Bliss, who seem kind of like a production duo, and their credits together include the Babysitter's Club movie, Tuck Everlasting, Bring It On, and Bring It On Again. This movie was written by none other than Jessica Bendinger, the queen behind Bring It On, obviously, Stick It, Aquamarine, as my poster is right here, First Daughter, and a few episodes of Sex and the City. And I feel like if you've written any of Sex and the City, you are just in a certain echelon of writer. I know that was weirdly swift, but that was kind of it for the first little chunk there. So, Audrey, what do you got?
All right, so here is the plot synopsis for Bring It On. A champion high school cheerleading squad discovers its previous captain stole all their best routines from an inner city school and must scramble to compete at this year's championships.
Pretty good plot synopsis, I thought.
Yeah, but it's very, like, big picture. It's, like, not introducing any specific character or anything.
Yes. Well, there was this one, and then there was another one that was, like, doing way too much. And so I was like, this is the better alternative.
Yeah, like, if you're listening to this, I'm assuming you probably have seen Bring It On, so you don't need, like, the Torrance blah, 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 Missy blah, blah, blah. Like,
right. You don't. So when I was looking up the plot keywords, well, I didn't look them up, but they, like, presented themselves to me when I was on the IMDb page. They were all really gross. Like, the majority of them were super gross. Like, these were in, like, the top, like, 10. There were camera shot of a woman's legs, bare midriff, bra and panties, white panties, and sexiness, which really the only reason why I even bring it up is because there is, like, a certain flavor to this movie where the way that the girls are shot is, like, really porn reminiscent to me. Just, like, even in the opening, when you, like, see Torrance's back and, like, her hair, it just gave me, like, creepy, like, early 2000s porn vibes. It's also gross because they're high school characters. And, like, these movies are made for high schoolers, but, like, ew, keep it together.
All right, so now we're going to get into these taglines. And for some reason, I'm seeing a lot of hash marks here. I'm seeing a lot of options. The first tagline is, her parents don't get it. Her boyfriend says, forget it. The friends who voted her in now regret it. But does she got game? Bet on it.
Horrible. I hate that one.
That was so long. That's,
I know.
like, not even a tagline. The second one is, oh my god, these are so long. It's backstabbing, spotlight grabbing, secret blabbing. A cheerleader's life is all that.
There's no real secret blabbing in this movie.
I mean, there's secret blabbing in that it's a secret that they're stealing.
I guess that's true.
Stuff. The third one is hate them because they're beautiful while they don't like you either. Okay, that's actually kind of good because it's in the movie. That's one of the cheers. Hate them because they're beautiful. Well, we don't like you either. Yeah. The next one is may the best moves win. The next one is winning isn't everything. It's the only thing.
They were giving us options in this marketing spread here.
There's two more. The next one is 1, 2, 3 cheer. Bad. Yeah. And the last one is it's amazing what some girls will do to get on top and stay there. That's awful.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Agreed. So now we're moving on to the cast. First of all, we have Kirsten Dunst as Torrance. Kirsten Dunst was, like, one of the it gals of the early 2000s, 100%. Without necessarily taking, like, the Disney or Nickelodeon route, which is cool. But she's best known for playing Mary Jane in the 2002 Spider-Man, the one with Tobey Maguire, I'm pretty sure. And sort of like her breakout role was as Claudia in Interview with the Vampire, which I saw for the first time over the past year, and that movie is like, that movie sprinted so Twilight could, like, crawl. She was also known for playing young Amy March in the 1994 Little Women. She was Marie Antoinette in Marie Antoinette. She was in Elizabethtown. She was in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and a particularly devastating episode of Star Trek The Next Generation that I cry at every time I see it. Then we have Jesse Bradford as Cliff, who to me the entire time I'm like, this is just Paul Rudd in Clueless. Like, that's the vibe I get the whole time.
Yep.
And out of his credits, really the only things that I really recognized were he was on The West Wing and he was in Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio in it.
Leonardo.
I was like, how do I say his name? Then we have Eliza Dushku as Missy, and I really thought that it was Christy Carlson Romano the entire time.
They're like twins.
They are like twins, and I looked up pictures of both of them yesterday when I was putting all these notes together, and, like, they don't, in the mind's eye, they are twins, but when you see pictures, it's not as bad. But she was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and in the spin-off series Angel. Good for her. And there's a lot of characters in these movies, but I just went with like the most prevalent characters, I guess, or the ones who were billed at the top mostly. Then we have Gabrielle Union as Isis, who is the head cheerleader of the Clovers, the captain of the Clovers, and she is on, or was on, 10 Things I Hate About You, Being Mary Jane, Birth of a Nation. She was in Love and Basketball. She was on Seventh Heaven and had a recurring role on Sister Sister. So she's been in many good things.
Yes, we love her.
And is like a national treasure.
Yeah, of course. So now for the financial section.
Yes.
The estimated budget was roughly $11 million. It made $17,362,105 on box office opening weekend. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's great. The overall worldwide gross is $90,449,929.
That's so many dollars.
Big success. Now we understand why there happens to be like four additional movies in this under this brand name, decreasing in quality as they go.
Yes.
Which sucks, but it happens. Moving on to the critic score and the critic consensus. There was a 63% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and the critical consensus is, despite the formulaic, fluffy storyline, this movie is surprisingly fun to watch, mostly due to its high energy and how it humorously spoofs cheerleading instead of taking itself too seriously.
Which...
There's a hint of something in it.
Yes, that's what I thought too. I was like, there's a hint of misogyny in that
Yes, there
critic
is.
Consensus.
Yeah, I was like, they're like, we liked it because they decided to not take their sport really seriously. Like, they decided to make fun of themselves. It's like, well, what if it was just really serious? Like,
yeah. Well, it's
you
also
should respect
like
it anyway.
Yeah, it's
but
also,
of course we love it for being fun.
Yeah, and it's also like humorously spoofing cheerleading feels like a euphemism for humorously spoofing teenage girls, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that. It just, no, we detected something there. I don't like that.
Which, okay, and then this next little section, which I can explain, kind of is similar, but it's from Roger Ebert, our king, so it's not as bad. So this is a little excerpt from his review of Bring It On. He said that Bring It On is yet another example of the most depressing trend of the summer of 2000, the cynical attempt by Hollywood to cram R-rated material into PG-13 movies. This is done not to corrupt our children, but even worse, with complete indifference to their developing values. The real reason is more cynical. Younger teenagers buy a lot of tickets and are crucial if a movie hopes to win the weekend. The R rating is a penalty at the box office. So movies that were born to be rated R, like Gone in 60 Seconds, Coyote Ugly, and Bring It On, are trimmed within a millimeter of the dividing line and released as PG-13 so that any child tall enough to push dollars through the ticket window is cheerfully admitted with or without an adult.
Yeah. Roger is speaking the truth here.
It's true, and it speaks to like the weird the sexualization in the film in like the point of view of the camera. And the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes was 66%. So pretty close to the critic score, which was sort of shocking. So now we're in the gossip section for August 2001. And this is kind of more like entertainment news than celebrity gossip, but Arista re-upped Whitney Houston's recording contract to the tune of $100 million. It, at the time, was the biggest deal in Arista's history. So Whitney is still reigning supreme as the good Lord intended, and that's good to know. At the same time, there was a deal going on to create that 80s show, which was Fox's attempt to keep capitalizing on that 70s show. Yara Zaid, our lovely friend, has a video where she talks about the origins of that 80s show, and it's really interesting, actually, I think. And Warner Brothers announced that the sequel to Matrix Reloaded, was to be released in May 2003. So the world demanded a sequel, and they were delivering upon it and making an announcement 2 years in advance, or 3 years in advance at the time, that it was happening. So that's cool. And I just looked up shows that were on for kids in 2000, and this was the era of Braceface, Totally Spies, which surprised me. It seemed weirdly early. Out of the Box, Lizzie McGuire, Bear in the Big Blue House. Did you know that Bear in the Big Blue House ran for like 10 years?
Yeah. No, I trust me. I watched the Defunct Land TV episode about it.
I did too, but I
Don't
forget a
worry.
lot about it.
It's same, but listen, I liked that show a lot. For me, like I think we've mentioned this before, but like as a child, I just preferred live action things, and so Bear in the Big Blue House was like a great medium.
Yeah.
It's like live action, but with cartoonish characters. So
Yes.
I was living.
I mean, also Out of the Box is on this list.
Yeah, Out of the Box, and I'm sure some of our listeners probably use TikTok a lot, and I have seen both of them on my For You page. They are coming back to the internet, and they like did their little videos, and they sang the song, and I was like, no.
It was
I fell
really
into
cute.
the trap so hard, but yeah, they're very wholesome people.
There's your context, and now we just talk about things that we remembered about this movie before we watched it a few days ago. I can go first and say the thing that I had to
Expose
reveal to all
yourself.
of our guests, which is that I am 99% sure that I had not seen this movie until a couple days ago.
Crazy.
But
I
here's
just don't know how that's possible, because I don't know when I saw it the first time, but it was definitely somewhere in the 2012 region, maybe. Something
You
like
must
that.
have just been at like a different friend's house, and like I just must not have been there because I did not
think I
see
watched it by
this.
myself.
Well,
Like I think it was on Netflix at the time, and that was
Yeah.
roughly when Netflix started streaming.
yeah.
And that was like 2012 was kind of a big year for me, I feel like, in watching big year for me, 9th grade, watching like really iconic movies that fall into this genre and prior, like Heathers, Clueless, Bring It On, Drag Race.
I know, that's
That
when
was
I
all-
started Drag Race, was 2012.
Yeah, it was a big
Oh,
year
God.
for media.
That means that I've been watching Drag Race for 9
For like
years.
10 years. Yeah.
All my friends get mad when I'm like, remember when I tried to get you to watch Drag Race when we were 17?
And you're like, no.
And they're like, haha, fuck you. And I'm like, no, but it's true. I did try to get
It's
you to
true,
watch Drag
and
Race.
now you love it. So
And now you yell at me in a group chat about my opinions. However, who got here first? It was us.
right.
Okay, so with all that in mind, we're going to break a little bit early, probably right now. So go watch Bring It On, refresh your memory, and then we will come back and you will hear more opinions on this movie than you ever could have anticipated. And we're excited to share them with you. Okay, we're back. We're talking about Bring It On. And before we bring on our beautiful parade of guests, Audrey and I just want to get a few things out of our systems before you hear our conversations with all these other people. My truth is, I had not seen this movie until a couple days ago, and I didn't like it.
That's so crazy. Do you think it's just because you lack nostalgia?
Yes. I think it's that I lack nostalgia, and I also think that really there's a few things about why I didn't like it. First of all, I thought that Torrance was a really boring character, and I didn't feel bad for her, and I didn't relate to her.
And we get into that. You'll hear us talk
Yeah,
about that.
this is why I'm keeping it very high level, because we'll get into it
Yeah.
more. but mostly, and this might just be that I'm like a white person who's doing too much, but like the level that they keep the Clovers, like the level that the Clovers are kept like an arm's length away in this movie that was made by white people in 2000,
it doesn't
just
sit right.
It does not sit right with me, and it's just such a waste of an opportunity. And they marketed this movie like it was gonna be 50-50.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it just feels gross to me. And I felt like I liked like the gayness to it. Like there's a lot of like underlying and overt gayness in the movie, which was cool. But I just didn't think it was that good, and I feel bad.
No, you don't need to feel bad, because if I saw it for the first time 3 days ago or whatever, I probably would also be like, I would be like, there's just a lot of issues with it. But like, if you don't have the nostalgia for it, then, you know, you're just going to see it for what it is now. And like, that is, you know, it'd be almost kind of weird if you were like, oh my God, I loved it so much. I loved every element. It was the most iconic thing I've ever seen in my life. Like in 2021, it'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, are you blind to the truth? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I think that's totally acceptable. I'm validating you for
Thank you so much for validating me.
But, you know, there's obvious elements that can still be praised to this day, which would be like certain performances, certain outfits and like fashion, not all of it, but a lot of it. And just the quality of fun, and like the fact that we could tell that they were having fun filming it. That's really what you latch onto with this movie, I think.
Yeah, I buy that. I just have so many questions. Like as a white woman writer, just like watching the scene where the Clovers write the letter to Paulette, and just like thinking that a white person wrote it and also named them, like named all the characters what she named them. It's just like, I would never do that. I mean, I know times have changed, but like it just makes me cringe.
The boldness is scary. The villain is really like Big Red, but like
it's
the Clovers are like a red herring villain.
Yeah, it's also like the system. It's like Torrance's system is the problem.
The system.
Yeah, like
the man.
I just like don't feel bad for her. But anyway, I'm being a hater. There's a lot to love about this movie. I just don't have the nostalgia lens. So we have so much to share with you. Audrey, I feel like we should probably just bring on the guests at this point.
Yeah,
don't you agree?
We should bring it on with the guests.
We're bringing it on with the guests. Okay. Everyone buckle in, because here we go. Our first guest today is Darren of Under the Tree with DXC, and he is our loving, loyal listener who we talk to over DMs constantly. And we're finally getting him on the podcast. So, and we're talking about Bring It On, obviously. So really the first thing that we wanted to ask you, Darren, is when was the first time you think you watched Bring It On?
I would want to say like out of the womb, but I know that that's not like the most like appropriate answer, but I don't know. It just goes back so far. It's kind of like one of those things that like for me, like Britney Spears and Beyonce, like they've always been there. Like I've always watched Bring It On from the time I was so young. Like I feel like before I memorized anything in school, I memorized the first cheer from the beginning. My parents are on the younger side, and my mom has a younger sister. So she was like 18 when I was born. So she was prime age when that stuff came out. She was like our age now. So I think it probably came from her. It just came out around then and they had it on. And then I just ended up seeing it and, you know, probably made me gay.
What are some things or characteristics about Bring It On that you love to this day?
I did take notes on that because I wanted to have things ready for you guys.
Okay, nice.
But one thing that I love is like the lingo and like the things that they say. Jan was a gay awakening. I wish he was the gay one in the movie, but he's just so cute. And Cliff is cute too, but I was watching the movie with my friend last year, and he pointed out that Cliff only talks out of the side of his mouth. And now, when I was rewatching, I was like, "Why did you have to say that?" Because that's all I see now. I'm just gonna say Gabrielle Union. Everything about her.
Everything.
Just everything about her. And then the fact that the girl group Black plays her like not her henchmen but her friends. They play Lava, Janelope, and LaFred, and I think I love them so much because I love their song "Bring It All to Me." It's such an early 2000s jam, so I love that they're in it. I love Cliff and Torrance's chemistry. They have really good chemistry. But also Missy and Cliff do as well, which is
yes.
It was giving Clueless.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It was giving Cruel Intentions, sweetie. It was giving Cruel Intentions.
Yeah, true.
When they're in the room and she's like, be aggressive, and she's it's just so weird at points. What's the girl who plays Missy's name?
It's Eliza Dushku.
She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. I love Missy. My favorite scene in the entire movie is when they pick her up and they're like cheering her on and she starts dancing.
I like fully thought that was Christy Carlson Romano until right now.
Well, that's what I was gonna say is I always get them confused. That's what I was gonna say.
Like, I wrote down in my notes in all caps Christy Carlson Romano with a bunch of question marks. I didn't do the research yet.
Not Christy Carlson Romano. She didn't really get a career after Even Stevens. I wish she was in Bring It On because she didn't get a career. Raven and Hillary kind of like uplifted themselves and Christy kind of stayed where she was. Missy's weird dress in the beginning. Dreads.
Yes.
What are, like, I don't think they're dreads. They are, because I know white people do that hairstyle, used to do that hairstyle in the early 2000s, but what is it?
This is what it is, because I watched it with my boyfriend and he was like, are they dreads? Like, what are they? And I was like, no, let me show you, because I could do it. So my hair's disgusting right now. But what it is like you take a strand like this and then you get gel and you put gel on it and then you just twist it like this. Like, I'm just twisting it like clockwise and then you
hair
just
tutorial.
Leave it. That's it.
But why? The big question is why? I don't know if you guys have read the AV Club interview that they did for the 20th anniversary. Peyton Reed, the director, and Jessie, I think her name is Bedinzer, but whatever that is. Mm-hmm. But they say that they think the one thing that they feel like wouldn't hold up today was the homophobic slurs that they throw around. Uh-huh. But they also kind of like double down and stand by it because they're like, they're just teenagers saying this stuff. Like, they're kind of like reclaiming it. Like, when Missy says like, you do speak fag to Les, and then he's like, Courtney and Whitney, dykadelic. Like, I just just the way that she says, it's just so like it hits so well. It is fierce. It is fierce. Like, I'm treading my waters right now because I don't want you guys to be like, oh my god, he's just throwing these slurs. But no, I just
no, you don't have to worry.
Icon.
And worry. Last time you watched it, did any particular things jump out to you that you were like not so in love with?
I think definitely, I don't know. I think it might have just been Jen not being gay. I'm just kidding. No, that's not it. I think just like the Clovers being so secondary. Like, I wish there was more. I wish we had I wish it was equal split between like
50-50. Me too.
It's so like colorful and fun with all of the Toros. Like, we see so much of the Toros. Even a lot of the characters, like, we don't see their families or anything, but like, we know that like Darcy's a smart one. We know that Casey is the dumb one. We know that Jan and Courtney kind of do things together, which is kind of problematic. I was watching that back, thought it was kind of problematic when he said his fingers slip sometimes. I was like,
yeah.
Consent? Is the consent there? Do we know? But I wish we got to see a lot more of like Isis in her school, and we got to know Janelope, LaFred, and Lava a little bit more, which like I just know their names because I'm such a super fan, but like I feel like most people don't know their names.
Yeah. So, also I wanted to rehash and ask you about the little piece of gossip that you uncovered and you DM'd us like back in the day, and I feel like the people should know.
To get some clout with you guys, I was like, I have a little fact, like, can I give it to you? it was Bring It On's 20th anniversary, and people were saying, oh, look at the trailer. And I'd never seen the trailer for Bring It On. But in the Bring It On trailer, there's parts where you see the Clovers at their school. Like, you see Isis with a man. You see, like, Lava, Genelope, and LaFred, like, doing things. Like, I think it's Lava who, she says, I don't think you thought a white girl made this shit up, like, talking about, like, some of their cheers and stuff. So people have been talking about, oh, for the 20th anniversary, like, release the Clover cut. Clover cut. Release the Clover cut. So I was like, oh, I would love to see that. Like, I loved the Clovers. So, and she had posted something for it. It was like they were going to be doing like a Q&A type thing. Like, it was her, Peyton Reed, the director, Gabrielle, and I think Kirsten as well.
Yeah.
And I commented, I don't know why I commented this, because I promise I'm way more professional. But I just commented, release the Clover scenes from the trailers with exclamation point at the end. And, you know, she responded nicely, and she was like, Peyton unpacks this in the piece for the AV Club. But it was the screenwriter, Jessica Badinger, I think is how you say her name.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I read it, and it says in the AV Club interview that they filmed it just for the trailers. They didn't really film full scenes. So, like, there would be nothing to restore because they weren't full scenes. But I don't know if that's just a cop-out.
What?
So what he says for the AV trailer, he says there was not really more that was shot. The initial trailer makes it seem like there was a subplot, but there's nothing there. There was just a handful of things that they shot for the trailer with Gabrielle and then the girls from Black. And it was addressing stuff for marketing materials. So it was, they basically have Lava go, I don't think you thought a white girl made this shit up, and like look directly at the camera. So it makes more sense that it is just for marketing. But, and then he talks about how there's a couple shots of them at the lockers, which is also in the trailers. But then he says there's no Clover cut. So then back to me talking to the screenwriter, I said, so there's not real scenes. And then she says, correct. But if we should do a sequel, then there definitely will be, which has nothing to do with that. It's just kind of like, we'll shoot at the East Compton Clovers High School. But I feel like there are more and they just don't want to release them. That's how I personally feel.
It just, like, watching it was so much more about the Toros than I thought it was going to be. And also, I just, like, didn't appreciate how, like, even though the Clovers are extremely fierce, like, they're kind of just, like, they're, like, villainized really heavily in the first one. Like,
just
like,
for
whenever
existing.
At the end of the day, they are pretty stereotypical as well. Like, Genelope wants to fight them. Like, their names are Lava, LaFred, and Genelope. Like, they didn't really go out of the box for that. Like,
what impact do you think that Bring It On made on you as a kid and continues to have on you now?
Well, I keep bringing up Jan, but Jan was a gay awakening. And I think he was for a lot of other gay men. So if anyone's listening out there, please let me know I'm not alone. Please let me know I'm not alone. And it made me want to be a cheerleader. And unfortunately, my parents would not let me because they thought I would, you know, get bullied or something. But they later let my brother be a cheerleader. So I basically...
You warmed him up.
Yeah. A lot of times I walked so he could run. But I don't know. I think he was much more coordinated with me, but if they started me young, I probably could have done a flip or something. And I memorized all the Bring It On cheers, so I could have been fine. I ended up doing marching band, but, you know, I would have loved to be at the football games as a cheerleader. Also, another thing, what's the name of Torrance's boyfriend? He's really annoying. What's his name?
Aaron.
I think they should have made him gay. It would have been really funny.
Right? Okay, in the beginning, I was like, he seems gay. And then when the brother's like, your boyfriend's fruity. Gay, I was like, is he gonna be gay? Like, is that gonna be part of it? And then it just... But
then he's in bed with a girl. And when he's like, she's like, who is that? And she's like, it's my sister. And then she's like, but you're not my sister. And they start I was like, what? I was like, that's one of those things that's like the Princess Diaries thing that I was thinking about. Like, why did we have to hear that?
Yeah. When she broke up with Aaron, I was like, why didn't you bring up the fact that he set you up with this scammer choreographer?
Exactly.
Like, hello?
And one last thing that I noticed was in the scene where the Clovers show up at the football game and obviously copy the cheer. For some reason, one of the girls is just a random, because it's Gabrielle and then two of the girls from Black. And then the one who just has her hair down and is in like orange is not LaFred. because I looked up which Black member played what, and Genelope is Natina Reed, who has passed away. And then Lava is, I think her name's Brandy Williams. And then LaFred is the other member. And she's not featured in that big scene, which I thought was so weird.
I really missed the fact that she had like this very like lesbian coded punk thing at the beginning, and then they just like deleted it. I was like, what happened?
Yeah. Put her and Torrance together, you coward. Like,
yeah.
Also,
I thought
for real.
Why say it about Courtney and Whitney if you're not going to put them together?
Yes. That's what I was expecting that.
I think that's something else that I wish there was more of. I wish there was more gayness. Like, we have Les, but like he's only pretty much a punchline, and then he has that cute scene at the cheer competition where he's with that guy. But like, just put, I thought that was cute. You know what? Put Courtney and Whitney together. Put Jan and Leslie together, or I think he's short for Leslie, and put Torrance and Missy together. And you know what, Cliff? I'm sorry, Cliff is too like sad boy pick me. Like him reading reading the book in the football game. I'm like, what are you trying to do? It reminded me of Eli from Degrassi.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we could go on forever. But
we could.
Darren, thank you for supplying us with your knowledge.
You're welcome.
We are going to join you on your show soon.
Yes,
which is really exciting.
so excited.
We're excited too. But do you want to just talk a little bit about what your podcast is and like where people can find it?
Yeah, so thanks to these two lovely ladies right here, I kind of got the push to start my own podcast. So my podcast is called Under the Tree with DXC, and it kind of stands for Under the Tree of Knowledge a little bit, and DXC are my initials. So I decided I wanted to have like a kind of talk show as podcast. So every episode is a different like random pop culture topic, and I have a guest on, or two guests, or a number of guests on, and we just talk about whatever topic it is, see how far we can go, because I feel like if I did a podcast by myself, I'd just get into so many crazy tangents. So I need someone to help me reel them in. The big thing about it is I want it to spark conversations. And one of my favorite things about people is I love when you can see the wheels turning while they're talking, and or the twinkle in their eye. Is it something they're interested in? So that's what I hope to get from my guests. I hope to see the wheels turning and the twinkle in their eye. And if I see that, then I know it's a good episode, and I know that I've done my job. Yeah, you guys really inspired me. You guys are like my mothers, kind of. Like my podcast mother.
Aww. Yes. We cannot wait to join you. It's going to be amazing. Our favorite topic. Such a fun, supportive person. So we'll make that happen soon. And thank you for chatting with us. This was awesome.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. Bring it on.
Here with us right now to talk about Bring It On, we have our dear friend and comedian Dezhawn France.
Hey.
Such a lovely person. We're so excited for him to be here because he was very eager to talk with us about Bring It On. So the first question I want to ask is just, when do you think you saw Bring It On for the first time?
I was thinking about this a lot, and I think it might have been, I was like, whenever you could probably get it on DVD or Blu-ray, whenever you can get it on the DVD or VHS is when.
Yeah.
Because me and my mom watched it a lot. That's like when like I found out about the pod, I was like, this is crazy, because like, I don't know, I guess I'm just like a white girl inside, because I resonate with all these movies so much, because me and my mom, we just watched all these movies. It was great.
What are some things or moments or scenes that you really love from Bring It On?
I rewatched it last night to get in the mood.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I was thinking about when Missy first tells Elijah Dushku, Missy. I love Elijah Dushku. She has such a cool voice too. I was watching, I was like, oh my God. Her voice is just like a cool girl voice.
Yeah, she really does.
Big fan of Buffy. But when she finds out that they stole the routine, and then like, and Torrance like, get out of the car, I'm gonna kick your ass. When she like looks, she's like, get in the car. They like, get in the car. I realized like they drove to LA, and like every scene that they show, it's kind of like silent or whatever. So it's like they live in San Diego. I looked it up. That's like a 2-hour drive. So I'm just like imagine them just sitting in the car in silence for 2 hours.
And like angry silence.
Yeah. The tension is there the entire time.
Just looking out the window, just trying not to look at her. Man, that scene, I think that I was trying to think of movies with audition montages where like cuts between the people.
I have something to say about that.
Oh, it's so good.
Yes, well, my note was that the audition montage scene from Bring It On walked so the High School Musical one could run. It's
I was
like the same thing.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
There's so many moments in this movie because I had actually never seen this one. I'd seen other Bring It Ons. I know.
Hannah's walking on thin ice.
I'm not gonna lie though. I realized I'd never seen it. And one of the things I noticed is that there are so many like weird, like porn adjacent moments in this movie where I'm like, this is very 2000.
Yeah.
That it has that vibe.
Very male gazy.
Yeah.
I could. I'm not gonna say I'm complaining about it, but no. It was a little like, and since at the time it came out, it was a little on the forefront of like white people stealing from like black people, stuff like that. Obviously, that's something I heard a lot when I grew up, like especially like when I was younger, like Lilo and Stitch. With Elvis, I really liked Elvis because of school. Because when we do study breaks, the teacher would play Elvis in the classroom and Lilo and Stitch. And every time, like I brought up Elvis around like someone old and black, they'd be, you stole from black people.
Yeah.
Crackers, they'd be saying all types of stuff. I'm like, the music's still good. I don't know.
So when Bring It On came up, you were like, I gotta be on when you talk about Bring It On. So I want to know what it is.
To be fair, it was this or Coyote Ugly, which we will get to.
We're going to get to it. And so I'm just curious what it is about Bring It On that compels you to speak specifically.
It's one of those movies I think also it was like, I've related to a lot of people with, mostly girls, but there's also been there's been a few guys out there that like to Bring It On, and I guess there's like the obvious thing, like there's a lot of pretty women in it, when I was younger, when I say it's formative, like that movie and Coyote Ugly, we can get to that later, like those are very formative movies of like, oh, wow. But women. It's also women. Oh my gosh. This is just like a good movie. This is like a fun movie to watch. It makes me feel good every time I watch it. Like, I love watching the end when they all sing like, hey, oh Mickey. Like, that's just so fun. Kirsten Dunst. I used to watch Interview with the Vampire a lot. She was like the first actress to like, I'm watching a movie, I'm like, oh my God, this is like good acting. And she was like 11 or whatever. But when she's like an Interview with the Vampire, when she's like, which one of you did it? Which one of you did it? Like so intense. I was like, wow. Between that and then like the connection, like Gabrielle Union, I had seen her in so many things, and and my mom used to tell me, she used to always tell me that I have big eyes, and I have big eyes like Gabrielle Union when I was younger. And I don't know if she meant that in an endearing way or she was like insulting me, but I don't know. Gabrielle Union
seems like a compliment to me.
Seems like a compliment.
Anytime you compare somebody to Gabrielle Union, it has to be a compliment.
Yeah, totally.
Yo, Jesse Bradford, he was so cool. I remember watching that movie and being like, yo, this guy is cool. Even though like,
wait, which one's Jesse Bradford?
Missy's brother, Cliff.
Got it. Okay, yeah. How do you feel about him as the not like other boys boy?
Yeah, he was the not like other boys boy. I don't know. I guess
you thought he was cool.
I guess it works because it's like I was like, yo, he's that's me. I want that to be me.
This is the representation we haven't had on this show.
Yeah, that's so true.
On Sleepover.
Yeah, you are literally, I think I don't know if you're straight. I'm assuming that you are straight.
I'm pretty straight.
Only straight,
I'm pretty straight
boy we've ever talked to on the show.
I'm honored. I'm honored. It is like I mean, I guess like in film, guys are when they are given that not like other guys. It's it's like the kind of losery, like, you know, but he doesn't care because he's cool. Like he's cool. He's cool to him, so he's cool to, I guess, whoever else.
To the head cheerleader.
Yeah, he's cool to the head cheerleader because she's like, huh, they didn't get the loser. I don't think they got the loser memo.
Wait. This brings up something that really I thought was so funny, which is like when she's observing him playing guitar in his room, like in a way that would be embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
And when he notices that she's watching, he's just like, yeah, and like keeps going. And I'm like,
yeah.
That I thought was very funny.
And then he's not even embarrassed. He's just like, yeah.
No.
He's just chill about it.
Yeah. He's just like, And I just thought bold.
Yeah.
And notable.
And I feel like that's something I would do. I mean, I'd be embarrassed on the inside, but you got to play it off. You got to play it off like you're not. The song, Prepare for Total Domination. It has I wrote down, it has a striking resemblance to the Jellyfish Jam from SpongeBob.
Yes, it does. Yes,
which came out almost exactly a year later. I mean, came out exactly the year before. Is that a coincidence? I think not. They saw SpongeBob and we need this song.
They're like, we're putting this in the mega mix. It's going in.
The writer for this movie, I learned, she originally wanted to do a documentary about cheerleading, and
I did not know that.
She like was really into the cheerleading. She would see it on ESPN, and she wanted to do a documentary about it. But I guess her people didn't really care for a cheerleading documentary.
They were like, try again.
Yeah, so she was like, well,
okay,
how about I'll write a movie. It made me, like, not when I was younger because I didn't really think about it, but like as I was growing up, it made me look at, you know, cheerleading different. I don't know. I think it's more of a girl sport, and obviously there's always that connotation with women that, you know, some of the lesser. So when you're watching, like, this is cool and this is hard, and it's like actual sport. It's actual, you know, you watch it and you're like, this is a big deal, you know? Because I don't know, it also has that, I don't know if you guys feel that, but there is this thing like when you watch sports movies, you're like, I don't know, Mighty Ducks, you watch Remember the Titans.
Personally, I avoid these at all costs.
Yeah, but
me too, honestly.
there's like there's always these sports movies, and there's like a lot of build up and a lot of tension, and you're like, fuck, this team better win. Just fuck.
Yeah.
You're like, you want them to win, even though you most of the time you know they're gonna win. And that was another thing about this movie. They like subvert the trope of the team, like watching the team work so hard to win, and then they lose, but you don't even feel upset that they lose because they like finally did their own shit, and then you're like, also the Clovers deserved it, and it's cool.
Dezhawn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for letting me. Oh.
This was amazing. And when we do Coyote Ugly, inevitably, you have to come back and tell us about more formative experiences of your attraction to women. Because we need that on the show.
This podcast, we don't get any of that.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm going to bring all the guys. I'm going to bring the small guy demographic to the podcast.
Yeah.
Just drag them on over.
Yeah, your promo is going to do wonders for our audience insights.
Yeah.
It really is.
So let's change up that YouTube algorithm is going to help you out.
Yeah.
There you go.
Straight guy. Man.
Straight guy reacts.
Yeah. Straight guy reacts to Bring Him On.
We have actual angel Kirk Liddell, our long-time friend and now collaborator. I am certain that Kirk is going to be a narrative podcast auteur celebrity. So on top of everything else, we love Kirk, and Kirk demanded to be featured on this episode about Bring It On. So we're going to get into it here.
Yes. I love this movie so much. Wow. I'm pretty sure I realized I was gay the first time I watched this movie. I'm not kidding. That's a whole story.
Oh, well, what's the story? What's the story?
So, we're just going to jump right in. I'm like, here we are. So, I remember, Blockbuster was a thing when this movie came out, right? It was like the early 2000s. I remember watching this movie we watched it once as a family, like together, and then I think I watched it twice a day for the next 5 days. Like, I was like obsessed with it. So I was like a gymnast as a child, like all kids are probably. But I was like serious. I was like competing every weekend, and it was like a big deal. I really thought I was going to go to the Olympics at like 7. But they were like tumbling, and it was like fun and colorful and pretty. And I was like, oh my God, I love this movie. Back then I was like, oh, I'm obsessed with Gabrielle Union. Like I thought she was so cool.
Yeah.
Little did I know I wasn't like not in love with her. I was just like, I want to be her. Like I want to have the energy and the flair and the sass. But I'm pretty sure this was like the opening of like, oh, there's that whole scene about, which I didn't get at that time, but like now as an adult, I totally understand, where they're in the car and the girl,
Missy.
Yes, is asking the question about like who's gay and who's not, and she asks like, "Oh, do you speak fag?" And he goes, "Oh, fluently." I like didn't get the joke for a really long time, but I always was like, "Yeah, he does look like that." Like I got that, like he was gay. Like I knew that it was like, "Oh, you're gay," and I was like, I understand him somehow. Yeah, look at us now, just as flamboyant as can be. I will say that Torrance's actual boyfriend, Aaron, I thought he was so cute. And then when I found out he cheated on her, it's like, well, that sucks. Like when you get to that part, I was like, well, why are you an asshole? Like that's not fun. But
didn't you think also, speaking of gay things, when the brother's like, your boyfriend's gay, and she's like, no, he's not, and then when he's like sleeping with someone else, you think it's gonna be a guy, and then it's not.
Like need it to be a guy. And I think if this movie came out in 2010, it would have been a guy. Like that would have been the joke.
Okay, so you were watching this twice a day on your own. Were you hiding the fact you were watching it that much, or was it fine?
I don't know if I was certainly alone, but it was in our like basement. So like anyone could come downstairs and see that I was watching it. But I wasn't hiding it, but I certainly wasn't like broadcasting like, I'm gonna watch this movie again. It was just like, no one's in the basement. Great, I'm gonna go sneak downstairs and just like put the tape back in because I loved it so much.
How do you think that the watching of it so much was more about the fact that it was like fierce, or about the fact that there was gay stuff in it, or both?
That it was fierce. I think I like really wasn't. I couldn't really clock the gayness until I was like far enough removed from it. But I just think like the overall energy and like kind of demand of their presence was very appealing to me. People won't know this in the world, but like you guys know, I'm a pretty like larger than life human. Yeah. And I really respond well when other people are doing it too. Like if that makes any sense.
Definitely.
So, do you have any things that you don't like about Bring It On after rewatching, or things you would change, or, you know, things that aged poorly? Obviously there are some.
Yeah, there are some that obviously aged poorly. I mean, so I find it, something that I love about it for sure is that it started a conversation, especially as like a Black kid, of this idea that I'm always going to kind of have to work harder than my counterparts.
Than the white people.
Yes, you said it.
Let's just say it.
Let's say it. Yeah, I'm always going to have to work harder than white people, and I don't think I registered it at 7. But certainly the more I've watched it as an adult, the more that I have been like, oh, that's what the conversation we're trying to have. And you can like hold your ground and stand in your truth, but also like soar above and like not be catty. Because they could have absolutely the Clovers could have absolutely like gone in and been like ruthless and mean and like cold about it, and they just aren't. They're just like, no, we're better.
Yeah.
We're like, we don't have to question it. We know we're better than you. And so I love that. I also if I could go back in time and like redo things, the like love story that happens in that movie is so not necessary. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I like love the toothbrush moment. Like that scene is iconic. Yeah.
Right.
But did I need that relationship to like, what did that really serve us? Like we get nothing from him other than like, oh, he kind of likes cheerleading now because he wants to sleep with this girl. But like, I'm so much more interested in Torrance's and Missy's like relationship.
Yeah.
Oh God, Missy, she's the poo, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so much more interested in that relationship, and I wish we got more time with them.
Yeah, I almost feel like you could even keep the brother plot line in. You could keep the crush between them, but then instead of then focusing in on them at the end, like, focus on Missy and Torrance.
But like the story of this, like, these girls who like find each other.
Right.
And like, Torrance can feel completed. Like, she finally has made a friend. Like, not just like a cheer squad, but like she's a sister and a friend. And this girl would have been certainly more interesting, in my opinion. Yeah, like that ending scene where they like kiss and the world is like, the balloons are flying everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, okay. But like,
they're like, they're okay.
Like, but was it earned?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, was it earned?
No. I don't think it was earned. It was a cop out. I think it was a bit of a
It was like it was a product of the time though too. Like,
yeah.
It went into this like rom-com section, and so fine.
Yeah, it was like wedging into the genre a little bit so they could then market that as well.
As the thing. And
yeah.
I have a controversial question. I think that Torrance is so hard to care about. And okay, and again, I have to reveal something else controversial, which I've now done for the third time, which is that it turns out that I actually had never seen this movie until 2 days ago. I know. Everyone looks just like you when I say that. I literally don't know how it's possible because I've seen Bring It On Again.
I don't even know
like
if that's true.
No, it is. It is.
That's insane.
I don't believe that. There's no. It's because it was on ABC Family so often growing up.
That's the thing. That's where I saw Bring It On Again a million times. The one that has the girl from Secret Life and Hayden Panettiere.
That's
not
Solange,
right.
That is not Bring It On Again. That is Bring It On. You're Mixing up storylines. No. So that's the third Bring It On movie. It's Bring It On All or Nothing. Okay, anyway, so
the jury is out. The jury's out.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that upon seeing this with very fresh eyes, regardless of whether I've seen it or not, I was like, I just didn't like Torrance that much. Because I felt
that's fine.
Because I felt like she never fully. Like, the thing that sat so weirdly with me while I was watching it, and like maybe this was just a product of the times, but it was like she was so appalled that the routine was stolen because it meant that her squad wasn't original. And they like never explicitly were like, we're stealing things from Black people, like Black artists, literally. Like, they never go there. And it feels like she doesn't even really understand that is part of why it is so bad. Like, on top of just like the baseline unethicalness of it all. And then when she gives them or tries to give them the money and they don't take it.
What is this, hush money?
Like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She's like so like personally victimized by them not taking it. And I feel like every time the Clovers show up, Torrance cries. And I just am annoyed.
Well, you're not wrong. That's all. I think that's all very on brand and factual. Which is my again, my comment about, I think we could have learned more if we got more of Missy being like, yo, girl, grow up, and less of, I'm in love with your brother. We just, we steal from the
because, clearly Missy understands something that Torrance doesn't understand. But you know what I even thought was interesting about that is because you think she's really with it at first when she brings Torrance to the school to see that the cheers are stolen.
Yeah, okay.
And then when they are playing, when they're at their home football game, and then the Clovers show up and show the audience that the cheers are stolen, Missy's reaction is really weird.
Yeah.
To that. She's got this, she's on the way that it looks like she's reacting the same way as Torrance. Like I just don't see why would she be personally offended that they showed up and proved the point when like she knew that, you know?
Yeah.
It's not really consistent with her character up until that point. Or what you think.
Right. What we were taught prior. I think part of it has to be that she like chooses to buy in and doesn't think anything is going to come of it, right? She's like, I showed Torrance, I've done my good deed as a white person. I've opened her eyes to the truth. Now I don't have to do anything else. And then they come and she's like, oh no,
now it's real.
Other people know now too. God, we have to like, there's like the work part of it that we miss.
Right. We have to talk about, okay, once you said Sparky Pilastri, I was like, we have to talk about it.
Obviously. It's so good. I used to walk around my house, like we would joke and like do spirit fingers at each other. Like it was a thing. Yeah. It was a cultural reset happened when he was like, these are spirit fingers and these are gold. Like, come on. Cultural reset. He's an icon.
So it's cultural reset, and also, was it not foreshadowing of what was to come in our lives in high school? Like everything about it, like the scam part, and the fact that it's terrifying.
Yes,
all of that. So for most, not now that we have listeners that don't know us in real life, they won't know this. But all three of us were in our high school show choir at some point, and Kirk's thing in high school was show choir. Like
in high school, it's still my thing. Grown ass man at 27, and I'm still obsessed.
But the way that Sparky Pilastri is in this movie is like not unrealistic to a choreographer that at least I had him for 2 years. Kirk had him for two years? 1 year.
1 year. Oof.
Yeah, and Audrey, you had him for 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I got the most suffering. That's great because I'm the best dancer in this chat, clearly. So it works out so well for me that I was the one who got him twice. But if you were watching this movie and you're like, no one's like that, there's no way. Just know.
Trust
there
and
are
believe.
Probably dozens of people like that.
They exist
in America right now.
Working, making 6 figures, choreographing show choirs across the country.
Yeah. And it not being literally the exact same routine at every place, but it being the same set of moves just scrambled up.
Yeah.
Yes, a variation
There's
of
like,
the same
you know, and I get that. There's a part of me that also kind of gets that, I guess, because it's like you don't know what to put in this 8 count, so you just like do the same thing. But at the same time, I'm like, we all can't be the same competition then. Like, you have to distribute us evenly. Because who's supposed to win best choreography if we're all doing the same 7 moves, sir?
Mm-hmm. I guess kind of related to that topic, though, do you think that like the competitive art/sport that is like the center of Bring It On, like how do you think that how much you loved that carried on into your future?
Like I said before, I was a gymnast at a young age, and I think
are there pictures of this
of me being a gymnast? God, I hope not. I don't know if there. I don't know. Child.
If there was, I'd be like, all right, let me have it.
Yeah, you would. I don't know. I don't have any on me. I had a really cute blue Leo though. I did have a cute blue Leo. Anyway, it was cute, like shorts and a top. I looked adorable. But I think that. So that being like the start of all of this is like very like artistic, but yet still like heavy, like sporty activity was absolutely the base. I think if there wasn't this stigma about coming across as gay in high school, I probably would have been a cheerleader. Because everything
you would have been such a good cheerleader. Yeah. Oh my God.
I it's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that I was in high school when I was, because if I was in high school now and we were as accepting of a world as we are now, and we've got a long way to go, but I just feel like I would have been more comfortable and to do it, and I would have slayed. It would have been incredible. We have to talk about the ending. Oh, Mickey, like
yes,
everyone has brought that
because
up.
It's. And I'm going to say this, like, as a Black kid, I had no idea what that song was prior to this movie. And now whenever I hear it, like, if I'm in the grocery store, like, everything stops. Like, we must, like, pony our life away and, like, live for it. And Gabrielle Union is She, like... So Torrance and Missy both get their own verses, and I don't know if you know this, but when they when you watch it on ABC Family, they cut Missy because she like grabs her boobs and they cut it. And I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, they're her boobs. Why are we? Okay, fine.
Yeah, like it's fine.
Whatever. But then Gabrielle Union doesn't get a whole verse. She just gets like a moment, which is unfortunate. But she is giving you lip singing the house down boots. Okay, like RuPaul would literally Shantae her. Like it's,
I know,
so good.
I was literally in my rewatch, I was like taken aback by how good that like 10 seconds was. I was like, whoa, what the?
And she's a baby. Like Gabrielle, is that it's like one of her earlier credits, and she's a toddler in that movie. And like,
she looks so young.
I mean, she's still like, she like just like has aged so stunningly, but like,
I know
she's a child. There's like not an ounce of a wrinkle anywhere near her face, and it's incredible. Yeah. But yeah, that moment is everything to me. And they like the way they like pull on their skirt at one point. I was like, I would like walk around and do that in my pants because like, right, like, and I didn't know I was gay. Like, come on. It was written. It was literally written on the wall, and I was just like, no, don't see it. Yeah, I can't afford it.
You said I can't read. It's fine.
Yes, and then it was like, nope, I don't read. Sorry. What is English? Not a language I speak. Thank you for having me on. Like,
oh my God, we love you. This was like electric. We should just have you back again.
Whatever you want.
Kirk, thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I honestly I love this podcast. I listen every week. It's like I have my list of things and podcasts that I listen to on every day. And like, I get so excited for Thursday. Straight up. It's like not a lie. Yeah. And I like also love getting to hear both of your voices. It's like such a weird thing to go from seeing you guys like every day, and then like the time and distance obviously just like happened and we grew up, but to like kind of have you back in my life in this weird way and like has also like made me connect with you guys again. It's like been the best thing for me. I know a lot of people hate high school, but I'm like I'm like constantly reminded that like, no, you actually like had a really good group of people, and there's like a good community that somehow managed to like not be too toxic. Like, but I like we thought we were awful to each other. Yeah. Oh yeah. On the cusp. Certainly on the cusp. Yeah.
It's on the cusp, but there were enough people that ended up coming out after the fact that it just all gets worked out.
You're like, oh, you were hurting, okay. So it's fine.
So it's fine. Erase it all.
Start again. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. But
exactly.
You guys are great.
Exactly.
I'm obsessed with you. I can't wait for the next episode. I love you. Stop it. I love you guys.
Okay, everybody. So our next guest is Conshea Brown, who is one of my best friends from high school. And she's currently working as a music assistant, and she's about to move to LA.
Yay!
And very excited for her. But when I was thinking of people that I would want to hear talk about Bring It On, I was like, I feel like Conshea is a good choice here. So I hit her up, and here we are. So what was your first impression? Like, were you into it?
Yes, at the time, I was a cheerleader too. So I was a cheerleader. Yes, for 6 years. It was the Solon Saturns. Yes, I was there. I was a cheerleader for the Saturns. And so, of course, it was like, oh my gosh, this is what I could be in high school. Fast forward, I actually spent my 4 years in drama club and show choir and not cheerleading. But yeah, it was like, this is stuff that I could see myself doing because I do it right now. So it was like fun to watch.
Right. That's so cute. Oh my gosh. Like being a cheerleader when you see it the first time is so adorable. So like, what are some of your favorite elements of it? It could be like cast, it could be like a scene or a line or like anything about it.
Yes. Okay. So I think that like, you know how all the Bring It On movies kind of have a formula to them? Like there's like an underdog in the story and like something happens where they have to change teams or something like that. I think like that story and the way that they portray it was a little ahead of its time. And that's why I think it's so cool about Bring It On, other than it just being a classic. But I just think that, like, when it came to the concept of, like, the root of the story, like, there was this all-white team that stole their routines from a bunch of Black people, an all-Black team. And then it was the story of, like, do you realize that the Clovers are actually the underdogs, or are the Toros the underdogs? You know, but really it's the Clovers, and that's why they win at the end, because the underdogs always win. That's how the formula works.
Right.
But I just think that the way that it was at that time was really interesting, especially when it comes to the racial aspect of it. And I just think, like, one of those things where it's like, there was no villain to the story like there was in, like, the second, third, and fourth one. There's no villain to the story. Like, the real villain was, like, Big Red. She's the one who stole all the routines from everywhere.
I literally, I just said that too. I was like, I guess it's Big Red, but, like, really, you know, and Hannah was talking about how she kind of views that as, like, a cop out of the movie, or like that it's like, it's not, it's a little half baked. Like, it doesn't, you know, but
yes, I totally agree.
Time, yeah, it's like, but for its time and the how white everything about this movie is, so white as far as production, writing, directing, you know, all of that. It's like, well, I guess there's something to be said for that, but obviously it could always be better.
Yes, I totally agree.
Better.
When you were, I mean, now and also when you were like a little girl, did you notice how, like, if there were scales in this movie, it was like the Toros were heavily weighed down. Like, you saw so much more of the Toros than you ever did of the Clovers. And like, did you respond to that imbalance?
I think when I was younger, as someone who went to, like, PWIs my whole life, it wasn't abnormal for me to see that. So it was something that was like, okay, like, I get this because this is what I see in my everyday life.
Right.
But later on in life, like, I think I watched the movie a few weeks ago and I was watching it, like, I never noticed how everything that is happening with the Toros is happening because they found out about Big Red and the Clovers. But you literally only see the Clovers like 5% of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't understand. I definitely catch that now more so than I did when I was younger. Absolutely. But it's kind of crazy to think about, like, everything that the main characters are going through is because of the Toro or because of the Clovers, and they're barely in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally. That I just like couldn't get over. I like couldn't get over the fact that that's actually how it was. And that it was, as we said, like this super white production team and like a white woman writer. I was just like,
oh,
bold.
Bold.
Yeah. So were there any other things on the last time you rewatched it that like stood out to you as like maybe having not aged well, or like being just like coming across in like a different way than they used to?
Yes, I definitely, early 2000s movies, we just live in a different time now, for sure. So like things that flew then definitely do not fly now.
Yeah.
And like, there's like one part in the movie where they're doing like stunts, and one of the guys like lift up the girl and they talk about like, oh yeah, like I'm staring up her skirt, or I have my fingers up her skirt and stuff like that. Like that does not, especially them being in high school, like not good now.
No.
And I think it's one of those things that like opens up the conversation about like, why do we make so many shows based in like high school? Like, think about how different and how much more you could like explore if you put these kids over the age of 18 and put them in college, you know, like Euphoria or something like that. Like sometimes like watching stuff like that, it's like, I could never imagine myself going through something like that in high school.
Yeah. No. Well, like I see. Sorry. Go ahead.
Anytime I see a show and like, okay, I know people have sex in high school. Like, I know that it happens. But anytime I see it in a show, I'm like, nope, that doesn't happen. Like, I'm just like, no. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to know that it happens. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's real for some people. But if it does happen, it's not like in like the sexy glitter drenched like Euphoria way. Like, it's not it.
And I see that conversation playing out on like Twitter all the time where it's people being like, why is every show in high school even now? And I totally agree. Like, you can literally place them like 2 years later in life and you open up your opportunities a lot more. But there's just such it's almost, I don't want to necessarily use the word fetishization, but it is. I think there is a high correlation like between like fetishization of high schoolers and then the media like interpreting that and kind of transforming it into this landscape where every show takes place in high school. And
absolutely,
the actors are adults.
So, Conshea, like when you saw this movie when you were younger or even now, like what are some of your favorite scenes or like the parts that stick with you the most?
Oh, okay. So definitely one that I always mention is when Kristen Dunst and Gabrielle Union have that moment where they meet in the Clover Gym. And they're like, Gabrielle Union is like, "Burr, it's cold in here. There must be some toros in the atmosphere. You think a white girl made that shit up?"
Yeah.
It's forever the funniest thing in the whole world. And then obviously the final competition scenes are always great. And then of course when the Clovers go to the football game and basically show everyone that they've been having their cheer stolen.
Yeah.
Is an iconic scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, the interest and intrigue level just skyrockets anytime the Clovers are there. And I'm like, why can't we just have that? Like, why can't that just be the movie?
Yeah.
It's so annoying to watch.
Yeah. And you know what? When we talked to Kirk, we sort of mentioned and talked about show choir a little bit, of course, because, you know, there is, you know, somebody who is really involved in show choir, like, will love Bring It On by that, you know, quality alone.
But the question for Kirk was, like, do you think there was something about, like, the feminine competitive sport genre of movie that, like, sparked something in you that then led you to want to be, like, in show choir or cheerleading or stuff like that? Like, do you think that's part of why you liked it?
That's a really good question. I've never really thought about it that way, but I'm always someone who I've just realized now in my life as a 23-year-old, like the way that I've kind of built myself as a performer or somebody who did perform at a time, like was built on things that I watched and saw as a younger kid. So like Beyonce and Destiny's Child, anything that has to do with performing has really built me up to who I am today. So I definitely think that there are aspects of Bring It On that I have carried into my life that have sparked something like, and you guys know, like, there's nothing like being on a stage and performing. So like to see that and see people who are going to be an age that was not too far off from where I was going to be soon is like, I knew that this is definitely something that I want to continue to explore and continue to do, which is a big reason why even after I grew out of being a cheerleader for the Saturns, I tried still going into middle school to try and cheer. Didn't go over well. They were asking too much gymnastics of me. So I found another avenue, but still it really sparked that performance side in me for sure.
That's so funny because I totally do feel like there is like a non-tumbling cheerleader to theater kid pipeline.
Yes. Oh my gosh, there has to be. I know I'm not the only one.
I almost tried out that same year. Like, are you talking about 7th grade?
Yes.
I almost tried out too. I literally went to the informational thing, and then it was in that like study hall room in our middle school. You know, that awful room. I really didn't like it. But yeah, immediately they were like, you need to like be able to do at least a back handspring. And I was like, oh, all right, I'll see myself.
I don't think this is for me.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. Awesome. I'll just do nothing.
Right.
How could that many girls even be able to do a back handspring? And also for what? For middle school cheerleading?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure I would so much rather have like the middle school girls to be doing like fun choreography than like bad gymnastics. Like, I just...
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yes.
I still went to the audition anyways, knowing I fully couldn't do any of that stuff. I still went anyways. And they got to the part where they were like, oh, like, show us a trick or something like that. I proceeded to do another cartwheel. I was like, ta-da, there it is.
You just added some like finesse to it.
Right.
So I guess sort of our last question is, and this is maybe a reach, but like, you know, Sleepover Cinema is nothing but reaches. And, and the question is, how do you think that Bring It On like made an impact on you as a kid, and how has that impact translated to now?
I definitely think, like I said earlier, like as a Black girl who went to PWIs their whole life, it was, and I was involved in different sorts of organized competition groups and things like that. It really taught me kind of like not to take shit within those groups, you know? Like, it was very rare that within those things, I wasn't the only Black person, you know? So I really had to make my voice, and I feel like myself heard throughout that as much as I could. And seeing things where even if they're in the movie for such a small amount of time, where I am like represented and they aren't letting someone walk all over them and like steal their cheer routines, as like almost superficial as it sounds, it's like deeper within that, there's a story behind that, you know, like,
yeah,
don't let yourself let that happen to you. Like, you worked on that stuff, you did the work. And just because someone may have a bigger voice than you to society, that doesn't mean that that shit is okay, you know?
Yeah. This is why we wanted to talk to you. So this is one of the things that Audrey and I were talking about last night. Is we were like, what I said to Audrey is I was like, okay, well, everyone we talked to, it seemed like they were just like feeling the white girl fantasy and like they were just into it. Like maybe I was like, maybe we're projecting more onto this than there actually is. Like maybe it's just fine. So I'm glad that you had that experience with it, because that's what I would anticipate, but I didn't know.
Right. And there are things like that. Like, I am definitely somebody who feels like, especially now as I'm older, like if there are TV shows and it's like just solely a white cast, there are no people of color or anything, it's really going to turn me off from wanting to watch it, because it's who on there can I relate to, you know? Like, there's just nothing for me there. But there are definitely times where I do feel the white girl fantasy, of course, like Sex in the City, I live for it. So like that is like something, but that is also something that is like beautifully done, you know?
Yeah. That's like top tier white girl fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I don't even relate to Sex. I don't relate to that show at all. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck these ladies are going through. Like,
it's aspirational. It's very aspirational.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
man.
I am so glad that, I mean, it sucks that like it is such like a relative shred of representation compared to the whole of the movie, but I am really glad that at least I mean, I don't know the franchise that well, but it seemed like from that one on, it started to get more balanced. Is that fair?
I think so. I mean, like in the next movie, like all the main characters were always white, but I think in the coming movies, like there was the second one that happened and the main character's best friend was Black. Then the third one happened and they were in Crenshaw Heights. So that was super diverse.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one with Ashley Benson. That's questionable.
That's so questionable.
That's so funny.
Oh, man. Yeah, but they definitely continue to evolve on the theme of the original, regardless of like how well done it ended up being. You know, I don't think none of them are as upheld as the first movie is. And I think for mostly good reason, because they're TV movies. So it's just a different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they tried.
They really did. And it's really always funny to think, like, I wonder if Solange just sits at home and thinks, like, I was in a Bring It On movie. Like, one of the main characters.
Did you know,
she's probably
fun
like,
fact, did you know that she was supposed to be in Cheetah Girls originally?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. I think she was supposed to be Aqua.
Keely's character, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine the sleigh.
I know now they wish that she was, because none of them like fuck with Keely at all.
No, they don't. It's so sad.
Everyone just like goes on IG Live and will like openly shit on Keely.
Like to her face.
It's really bad.
It's really sad. Oh my God. Conshea, it was so great to talk to you. So thank you so much for joining us. Of course,
it was good to talk to you guys too. Love you guys.
We love you too.
Love you. Okay, everybody. So we hope you enjoyed our 4 guests. We had a lot of fun talking to people other than ourselves about a movie, because usually we don't get the opinions till after the episode airs.
Yes.
But as always, let us know if you have any opinions about Bring It On or any of the movies we have covered previously. And we have a really exciting episode coming up with a really good guest.
Oh my God, yeah, we do. I forgot that we haven't told people yet.
Yeah, nobody knows. So
can we hint? Our next guest is Posh Spice, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh, if they know, if you know and you're listening to this, then you really just know now. Like, that's it.
If you know, you deserve to know.
Yeah, exactly.
We're so excited for that guest and the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be amazing. I'm kind of terrified. It's gonna be good.
Too much that has to be said.
So maybe if you want to do some research, I bet you can crack the code of who it is. But that'll be in 2 episodes, I think. Audrey and I will talk shop when we're off the mic, but I think it'll be 2 weeks from now. Anyway, get excited for that episode, and we will be back next week with a brand new one.
See you
as
then.
Always. Okay, bye.
Bye. You can find more from us at evergreenpodcast.com/sleepover-cinema and keep up with all our latest creative projects at twopinkpictures.com. If you want to watch our show as well as listen, we're on YouTube too, yay! Search Sleepover Cinema or go to the link tree in our Instagram bio. We're on Instagram and Twitter at twopinkpictures and would love to hear from you there. We're also on TikTok at Sleepover Cinema, and that's really where the party is at.
It's true. And if you like Sleepover Cinema, if it brings back evocative memories of your childhood or your adolescence or maybe even just babysitting in the early 2000s, please share an episode with a few friends. Sleepover Cinema is a production of Evergreen Podcasts, produced, edited, and engineered by us, Hannah and Audrey Leach. Sleepover Cinema is mixed by Sean Rule Hoffman, and theme music is by Josh Perlman Hall. Special thanks to executive producers Michael D'Aloia and David Moss.
We'll chat again soon.
We'll chat again soon.